Hey everybody, I thought I would come back to do a bonus video just to talk about real estate a little bit more specifically. While the government has implemented laws and legislation that prevent people from being foreclosed on their homes and for being evicted from their houses, I think this is a great opportunity, or in a year or two's time, we will see a great opportunity to get in real estate. What's very, very interesting is that all of those markets that have those inflated home values, where people are doing real estate flipping and buying houses for what they're worth or around what they're worth, put money in and selling it for 2 or 3 times the true value. I think a lot of people will be in danger at those times, because with the economic downturn that is definitely going to come, people won't be able to afford those high rents. And if you buy a house and get a mortgage on it at a certain price, your mortgage payment is not going to change. Even if people are not able to pay those high rents, you'll still owe the same amount on your mortgage payment. And so I hope that people are being careful in the way that they invest in the things that they do, because if you're over levered, or if you buy a house at the height of the market and the market declines and there's not as many people buying homes, JP Morgan increased its standard to be able to be approved for a mortgage. So in that way, there's going to be less people able to buy houses. If there's less people able to buy houses, then there's going to be less houses sold, less comps, less high comps for rent, and that's going to bring the market down. If you recently bought a house, if you bought a house at the end of 2019, if you bought a multifamily building at the end of 2019, then you may find yourself underwater in your loan. I hope that that's not the case for anybody out there. It's certainly not the case for me yet. I'm fortunate to have been able to pay cash for my properties, to have no debt on my properties. I am looking to in the future, refinance, get home equity loans to be able to pull some of my money out and reinvest into a larger investment. But just something else to just be very, very mindful of, to be preparing yourself to buy a home. I think, like I said, there's going to be, eventually, there won't be foreclosures right now, but eventually there will be a lot of people who get behind on their bills, get behind on their mortgages, and will ultimately be foreclosed on. I think there will be some opportunities for you to be able to buy homes at a discounted price, buy homes at 25%, 30%, 40, 50% of their market value, or what was their previous market value. Like I said, I feel really fortunate. In this time, I have finished one of my projects, actually got it approved for Section 8 housing and got it rented out with a Section 8 tenant. The cool thing about Section 8, you'll probably hear a lot of people on the internet and in different chat rooms and in different forums talk about how Section 8 tenants tear up the properties, they don't value things. And this can be true, but that can also be true of college kids. That can also be true of big families with animals and pets or small children. There's a lot of different ways that your property can be damaged. That's what we have security deposit for. That's what you have strict leases for. But the cool thing that I like about Section 8 is that the government is not going out of business. The government, while those offices have been shut down, HUD is still putting out payments for housing. And so I think that some people who had a strategy where they didn't like Section 8 tenants, or they weren't accepting Section 8 tenants, I think that in 2020, they'll reevaluate that strategy. Because for me, I got my Section 8 inspection right at the time that everything was being shut down. I was fortunate that the inspector was still able to come out. He did walk the house and go through the house by himself. I wasn't allowed in the home when he was doing it, and I respect keeping him safe, keeping myself safe. And I think that made a lot of sense. But reevaluate the way that you're doing things. I think a lot of people had decided that they didn't want to work with Section 8. They didn't want to work with quote-unquote low-income residents. They wanted to work in a high-income market. But when people start losing their jobs, when people's online businesses decline, when people start changing their spending habits and start spending on things that are more important or more solid and concrete, and they're not doing luxury things, they're not going out getting massages, they're not going out taking new master classes to develop new skills, everyone's income is changing or being hurt a bit. I think that that's very, very important to take into consideration. So that's my take on the housing market. I think that while there is some laws that are keeping people in their homes, keeping people in place, I think that the shutdown or the cessation of the economy is going to cause for people, when we come out of this, people are going to have trouble getting caught back up on their bills. I think that the rent markets will change. If there are massive mortgage foreclosures, there's going to be more people looking to rent a home than there will be to buy a home. And in that way, that might raise rents back up. But especially in that your everyday market, I think a lot of people are going to be moving out of those luxury apartments, moving back home with their families, moving into a more simpler or a larger space where they can take roommates and share the burden and the cost of living expenses. In certain areas like Pittsburgh, where we did see a little bit of that inflated housing market, but the whole market is not inflated. In places like Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, a lot of those places are going to be in trouble because of overbuilding, overdeveloping, over-rehabbing, overpricing, and a lot of overs. And I think that era of real estate is over, at least for a while. What's good is that if you're young, if you're interested in real estate, if you're interested in investing, if you stay in it long enough, we will see the market go from where it's at now down to a new low, and we'll be alive and still be invested when it goes back up to the new high. And I think that will be beneficial to all investors and for all people who are interested in learning about real estate. So that's my take and my second bonus video for you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Be blessed.